Mother Earth, blessing us with water to consume and live with, and more importantly, ground that we can walk and do anything we can imagine with. The ground type is among the most balanced types there is in Pokemon, serving a great mix between offense and defense, allowing it to find room in a bunch of Pokemon players' teams. Although the question to be asked is whether or not this type can hold its own. So in today's video, we will be doing a Pokémon Brick Bronze Hardcore Nuzlocke using only ground types, where any Pokemon that faints has to be boxed forever and no items can be used in battle. So without further ado, I start in Town and head towards the Professor's lab to select my starter. With two potential ground types later on in the game, I chose to skip Mudkip for this one in particular since it'll make things somewhat easy for me and I have another alternative anyway. So I choose Turtwig, although our problem here is that the earliest point I can get a ground type is in Route 3 in the form of Nincada, but because it'll take a while, I ultimately end up summoning one of the genies of the game and they spawn me a random ground type that ends up being a Galarian Yamask that I nickname Longfang. And then I can officially start my journey, which funnily enough forces me to watch out from a couple trainers because they have normal types. Meanwhile, my Yamask only knows Protect and Astonish, so they end up forcing me to use Turtwig on them instead. Once I reach Town, I get robbed by Linda and I run after her in Gale Forest, where I find another potential ground type in Nidoran, and then I challenge Linda to a battle where Yamask just comfortably sucks up every move she has to offer, and I head through Route 2 and soon after into Route 3. Although I did mention Nincada earlier, I wasn't actually planning on catching it anyways since it only retains the ground typing as a Nincada. Therefore, I was about to walk inside the second gym with just a Yamask, and thanks to being both a ground type and ghost type, it renders basically every single move used by the opponents useless, including the gym leader himself, and it allows me the freedom of spam clicking Nightshade to my heart's desire for an easy arc badge. As I enter Route 5, I not only manage to evolve Nidoran into Nidorino, but I have the opportunity to encounter either a Hippopotas or Phanpy, and I end up finding the latter, to which I name Kyoshi. And then right at the entrance of Brimber City, Jake stops me for a battle, to which, thanks to the amazing dual type Yamask has, also makes Jake incapable of hitting me with the exception of Nidoran, who can use either Poison Sting or Peck. But it ultimately just does neither, and it dies. And then once I meet with Sebastian inside the city, I dash towards Route 6 where I evolve my Turtwig into Groudon, and then I run around here for my next teammate, which is a Rhyhorn that I capture and name Bolin, which I hope by now some of you guys recognize the naming theme for this run. As I enter Mount Igneous, I have another option I can capture here in the form of Numel that I catch and name Kuvira, and then I just thwart Team Eclipse's plans with the arrival of Groudon, obtaining access to the second gym, which I immediately dash towards, and let's just pretend I did not lose my footage particularly for this gym, so you can just imagine that I spammed Magnitude with Numel for an easy Brimstone badge. Then on my way to Route 7, while there are plenty of dangerous water and grass types around this area, Numel's power actually proves to be enough for it to take care of them, and eventually I can reach the Lumberjack Shack where I defeat them and fix the dam. And I can cross the river to reach Laguna Lake. I made sure to stop by the MV lab to dig for some items I need for this run, and I end up getting what I need, including a Moonstone to evolve my Nidorino into Nidoking. As I walk inside Route 8 where I end up meeting with Jake as well, I undergo plenty of 2v2 battles around this area, being able to not only evolve Groudon into a Torterra, but also Numel into Camera. Although unfortunately, just before entering Rose Cove City, this black belt manages to knock out our Galarian Yamask, marking the first death of the run since I forgot about its knockoff. So once I am finished with him, then reaching Rose Cove City where I waste no time into searching for arguably the most important teammate in this run around here, which is a Shellos that I catch and name Lynn. The reason why I said it is important is because of its access to the ability Storm Drain, rendering water moves completely useless and raising my special attack in return, which will be our saving grace from plenty of water type trainers, including the upcoming water gym. And I can just go ahead and thwart Team Eclipse's plans once more, including the witnessing of the most amazing blast off there is, and I can just head towards the third gym, undergoing a couple battles with my weak Shellos considering it can abuse Storm Drain, and then take advantage of the other trainers around the battle field to the degree where I can evolve Shellos into Gastrodon, and I can challenge Quinn and his water types. Funnily enough, Gastrodon not only hard-walls Whalmer, it bizarrely keeps on using Skull, raising my special attack all the way to +3, and I can knock out the Whalmer with 2 Bud Mobs. Then once his Gorbis is out, it also strangely keeps on using Scald, further raising my special attack all the way to +6, and a mix of Mud Bomb and Hidden Power nets me another clean kill. And even though Huntail actually acts smart here and uses Ice Fang, damaging me while I miss my own Mud Bomb, his next one misses as well, and a single Mud Bomb is enough to kill the Huntail for a funny float badge. This is just why I am so glad to have Gastrodon in my team. As I head towards Route 9 meeting with Tess and Jake, the battles against them is nothing short of complete massacre given how Gastrodon just obliterates Jake while Rhyhorn deals with Tess's dragons. I make my way towards the Haunted Manor where I can also find another ground type here in the form of Golett that I capture and name Haru. And then I progress to Route 10 where I try to lather some honey around this area in order to find a Teddiursa, but it just forces me to just wait a whole 2 hours to even find one. And when I log back in, it's a Combi that I find. So way to waste my whole time, game. Upon entering Kragenos Mines, the next type that I find here is a Geodude that I capture and name Daily. And then moments later when I reach the cliffs, I can find another one in the form of Gligar that I nicknamed Jianzu. To which I make a stop by the trade resort with a friend of mine to evolve it into Gliscor, and not a moment too soon, our Rhyhorn also evolves into a Rhydon. And then I go back yet again towards the trade resort to further evolve it with a Protector into Rhyperior. And then I'm free to continue my journey through Kragenos Mines until I reach the peaks and soon after into Anthean City. Once I'm done talking to Gerald, I backtrack a little to this Evolutions trainer for some EXP farming and then make a return towards the city where I head towards the gym to further level up my Pokemon enough that my Golett also evolves into Golurk, and then once I'm satisfied with training, I go on to challenge Steven's flying types. Although this overconfidence ultimately proved to be damning, because thinking I could actually get a confusion off of Dynamic Punch with Golurk, the giant Ghost Titan just gets absolutely obliterated before it even landed a single punch, marking the loss of our Haru. That was a stupid decision of me to make, not to level up this guy, but I just have to cope with it. So I just let Rhyperior come out and take the kill with a Stone Edge. Then once Skarmory is sent out, I make the switch into Gliscor here considering I can survive plenty of Skarmory's attacks here and set up a Swords Dance before knocking it out with 2 Thunderfangs. The Aerodactyl that comes after oddly goes for Thunderfang, which gives me a free one of my own, and with Staraptor lowering my attack here by 1 stage, I click on Acrobatics instead that is also boosted by the Flying Gym I made it hold beforehand, which gets the clean knockout. So all that's left is Braviary, and knowing I cannot survive a single attack here, I try to make the switch to Camerupt here, but I get hit dangerously hard with Crush Claw here, so I end up making the switch to Rhyperior, which leaves us unscathed since his Zen Headbutt misses, and once I click on Stone Edge, Braviary weirdly goes for Aerial Ace, which either way never mattered since Rhyperior survives the superpower here, and I'm able to net the kill with my move to earn the Throwing Badge. I head to where Tess is waiting for me at the sewers, where I have so much fun clicking Earthquake on everything here, and then once I'm outside, I try rescuing Jake, but I am ultimately stopped by Cypress asking for a battle, and this is just where I tell you guys, what you are about to see is arguably the biggest nonsense a Pokemon player can ever come across. Because this stupid furball keeps on successfully using Detect whenever Venusaur is about to attack, I end up being forced to hard switch on an incoming Solar Beam towards Camerupt, which doesn't do half, but still a ton of damage. And on the next turn, thinking I will survive another one, I click on Lava Plume here, which does not get the kill, but causes a burn, and Venusaur gets a high roll here, and Camerupt ends up sadly falling alongside the Venusaur due to burn damage, and this was because of the game's stupid lore forcing this little shit to be on my team every single time. So what I end up doing here is after I switch to Gastrodon, since its upcoming Pokemon is Feraligatr, I just keep on clicking Scald here, fishing for a burn, but it uses Aqua Tail on me twice, allowing me to actually get the burn on the last turn since it falls to burn damage. Blaziken is no issue since I can click on one Scald for a clean kill, and then Torterra forces me to switch out into Gliscor here, which lets me net a clean kill with one Acrobatics. But this Samurott here is no ordinary Samurott at all. I make the switch into Torterra here as it goes for Dragon Tail, which ends up missing, but my heart sinks when I realize that this Samurott has Ice Beam, which actually does not kill, but it gets the goddamn 10% freeze, rendering me incapable of moving, so I end up switching into Gastrodon here as Samurott uses another Ice Beam, which I eat comfortably, and I can get my lost HP back with Recover. But once I hit with Scald that actually doesn't get the burn nor the kill, it phases me out with Dragon Tail, bringing in Rhyperior, and I don't want to stay in on a Brine here, so I end up making the switch back to Gastrodon on an Ice Beam. That gets the goddamn freeze again. Like, what the heck is this luck? I click on Recover trying to desperately not lose my Gastrodon to this stupid RNG that I am suffering, and thank God I actually got the thaw seconds before it fell, allowing me to recover and finish this stupid order with a Scald. Does anybody want to tell little bro here that he could have clicked Scald in the first place to instantly thaw? And then once Delphox is out, I'm not worried about any of its moves at all, so it just dies to 2 Scalds to finish off the battle against Cypress. Once I'm done stopping the Bomber, I navigate my way back towards Kragenos Peaks to take the Skytrade into Route 11, where I can find my next teammate as Sandslash, and then after reaching Iridia City and immediately into Old Iridia, my other option is Trapinch, which I named Zenfu, and I enter the ruins where I find the prince targeted by Team Eclipse, and then I go on to save him. At least that's what I wanted to say before having to suffer the worst carnage I have ever seen in my life by courtesy of this goddamn stupid Shiftry that just loved to spam Nasty Plot and Leaf Storm, basically shredding half of my team because I didn't have Gliscor on me since it was about to overlevel, and it gravely cost me both my Nidoking and Rhyperior to this one Eclipse grunt. Oh, you thought it was over? I even lost my Trapinch to this Trevenant here since I didn't know that it has Wood Hammer and I thought it had Phantom Force instead. So I also lose that, and all I'm left with is just Torterra and Gastrodon, which Torterra thankfully finishes it off after I set up Curse to reduce the damage. I was really upset at myself for even allowing this carnage to happen and by a Team Eclipse grunt out of all the members. So this was basically my wake-up call to stop acting like an idiot here. Luckily, the upcoming gym was a ground type one, so all I needed was basically Gastrodon and Torterra, but it was mostly Torterra that I needed against the gym leader, since after I lead with it against Quagsire, killing it in one hit with Razor Leaf to avoid any ice beams, the incoming Steelix practically has 0 moves to hit me with, allowing me plenty of room to set up Curse here up to +6, and then heal back my damage with Synthesis, which allows me to breeze past his entire team with relative ease to earn the Crater badge. And just before I left, I had to get back to Iridia Ruins in order to find another ground type I could use, a Boltoy that I capture and name Suyin, with which I make a visit to the trade resort to evolve my Graveler into a Golem here, and then I just return to Kragenos Mines to level up the team since they are severely underrated, including the evolution of Boltoy here into Claydol. I'm able to get the team a little high enough in levels, so I make my way through Route 12 since I don't have any new encounters for some time, to Route 13, and then finally into Florama City. Since I have a plan in mind for the upcoming grass gym, which normally would have been an issue for us, I just quickly solve the gym puzzle and challenge Fissy, where all I pretty much do here is set up Swords Dance since the only way Livani can hit me is with Leaf Blade here, considering it always goes for Sticky Web first turn, and I can just spam click Acrobatics on everything he has for a smooth and sweatless Harvest badge. With Tess giving me access to rock climb, I head towards Route 14 where I meet up with her yet again just at the exit in front of Team Eclipse members. And then I just make sure that they eat dirt for breakfast since a bunch of earthquakes shatters all of their Pokemon, and upon entering Route 15, I can catch my final encounter of the run, a Swinub that I capture and name Guzzin, which I immediately am able to evolve into Piloswine, and once I return to the Battle Coliseum to teach it ancient power, I am able to further evolve it into Mamoswine, with which once I trade my Pokemon off camera to near the level cap of 74, I head towards the 7th gym in order to challenge Zeke and his dark types. What I decide to do for this battle is going to require a sacrifice here in one of our teammates, but first things first, I do apologize for the lag seen here, so I'll just try to edit it with photos instead. I lead with Golem against his Honchkrow, and since the worst thing that can happen is if it goes for Swagger, it just goes for Feather Dance, lowering my attack to -2, and Stone Edge requires 2 hits in order to defeat the Honchkrow. Then once Crocodile is out, I switch into Torterra here as Crocodile misses its Fire Fang, and on the second turn it goes for Crunch, not doing too much to me, and a critical hit Razor Leaf manages to defeat the Crocodile in one shot. Bisharp is next, and there isn't anything dangerous about it, so a single Earthquake is all it takes, and in Umbreon's case, while it does act annoying and keep on using Toxic and Moonlight alongside Confuse Ray, a final switch into Mamoswine allows me to spam Earthquake and finish it off with an Ice Shard when it's low enough on health. The second Crocodile lowers my attack with Intimidate as I go for Ice Fang, but I get hit with a Fire Fang which thankfully doesn't kill my Mamoswine, and also Ice Shard is still powerful enough to defeat the Crocodile. Finally was his Mega Houndoom, and this is the part where I need to sacrifice one of my Pokemon here to secure things going safe, and that goes towards our Sandslash here that unfortunately has to go down for the sake of the run, so it falls to 2 Shadow Balls. This allows me a safe switch into Gastrodon here, and even though Houndoom still chooses to go for Shadow Ball, I can just click Scald twice here, and I gain the Contrast Badge. So once I head out toward Port Deca, Tess stops me by the gate for a battle, but our glorious King Guzzin here just spams priority Ice Shards left and right that allows it to just shred past her entire team, and then I'm able to slide down towards Cosmos Valley and eventually after into Port Deca, receiving the Surf HM from Brad, and then traveling through Route 17 until I'm able to reach Crescent Town. Once I find the hideout for Team Eclipse, I begin my infiltration here and unlock access to the prisoner's room chasing after my parents, to which Jake stops me, and I just carry on feeding him dirt with my ground types once more. As I chase after them through Route 18 and inside the outpost, I'm able to reach the depths of the Demon's Tomb, where Cypress summons Hoopa to the world, and I'm forced to battle against him yet again. Only this time, I was not going to show any remorse at all, so once I lead with Torterra against this Greninja, the frog can only just use Water Shuriken and Shadow Sneak as offensive moves, so I just set up to +6 with Curse in order to decimate each and every single one of his team, including his so-called powerful Mega Charizard X with Earthquake, and he just gets tossed into the Shadow Realm alongside Jake, who sacrifices himself for his girl, leaving Hoopa to just get embarrassed with 1 Earthquake. With the fate of the world secured, all that I had left in my journey was the fight against the final trainer of this run, Captain B and her ghost types. I lead with Mamoswine here against her Gengar, and as she uses Hex doing a little damage, I'm able to finish it off with an Earthquake. Next was her Decidueye, which I could comfortably kill with an Ice Fang boosted by a Never Melt Ice, and even though Spiritomb does survive an Earthquake, a critical hit Dark Pulse marks the end for our Mammoth, and I end up switching into Gliscor to finishing the job with an Earthquake. With Miss Magius out on the field, she can do almost nothing to me since I can set up 1 Swords Dance guaranteeing she'll start going for Growls. I opt to go for Thunderfang as means for damage, and just before she falls, I make sure to get another Swords Dance boost getting me back to +2, and before it even falls, I get put back to +1 right before taking it down. Aegislash just tries to delay the inevitable with King's Shield here, so 1 Earthquake is enough for the kill. And lastly was her Mega Sableye, which I click on Acrobatics boosted by Flying Gem, which sadly does not get the kill, but all it just uses was Quash, so with 1 final Acrobatics, I not only obtain the Haunted Badge, but complete a Pokemon Frontier Hardcore Nuzlocke using only ground types. This type was honestly so much fun to use, even though there were so many unfair moments and mistakes on my part that I made and could have made this one much more smoother, but nothing in life ever goes the way you want it to. If you guys reached this part into the video, why not drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more hardcore Nuzlocks. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.